Welcome to highlights of the Momentum Medical Scheme Attakwas Extreme, presented by Biogen. A cold, late winter's morning in Oudtshoorn greeted riders at the start of the 2021 edition of the Momentum Medical Scheme Attakwas Extreme, presented by Biogen. An elite field of top professionals were assembled at the Oudtshoorn Civic Centre. Champions past and present, all equal ahead of the toughest one-day race in the country, the Hell of the South. The elite women had their own start batch. Among them were talented young racers and richly experienced champions who knew just what they were in for.
It's going to be a cold start, definitely, and especially in Attakwas as well, it's going to be cold. And it's also going to be a battle of nutrition, so you must look after yourself and after your bike. So yeah, it's going to be a long day and you must wake up the whole time.
With the sun still hiding behind the Attakwas mountains, the lead group are hard at it through the Chandelier Game Lodge and Ostrich Show Farm. Matthijs Bierkes with the number one race board as befits the defending champion. His Biogen Eurosteel teammate Gert Haynes was on his wheel. The Ibuko Giant team had 3 cards to play. Hype Dev Nanotime were contenders and Team DSV had 2 potential podium challenges. Early trouble for insect science rider Siphe van Wyk. Managing mechanical problems is all part of the Attakwas Extreme. When they happen this early on, the key is not to panic. There's plenty of opportunity to regain the lost places and time, as DSV's Jacques Janssen van Rensburg found out. Young bucks Peter de Toy and Tristan Norkier setting a fearsome pace in an effort to shed riders from the big lead group. Already out on her own in the women's race was Yolandi de Villiers. The chase group was headed by Amy McDougall with Sarah Hill, Kim Lecourt and debutante Kelsey van Schoor following.
Usually what I do in the previous years, I started slowly and then from Bonniedale I just attacked. Usually I try to attack. But this year my coach just said, go from the gun, see how you feel, just go.
Good winter rains meant knee-high river crossings. Nicola Walker making short work of this one. For sponsors Momentum Medical Scheme, the event is a perfect fit.
And for us as Momentum, we love it when people are proactive about their health. We believe your health is your wealth. And the guys that can do the Attakwas are the guys that get onto their bikes, or in these days they get onto their stationary trainers. So it's exactly the person that we love to reward for doing what they're doing. But this is an iconic event. The best mountain bikers in the world have said, this is our big monument. This is the one.
Biogen Eurosteel were going all out with de Toy and Bierkes setting the tone on the smooth and wide dirt road. While others were eating, Marco Hubert and his Ibuko Giant teammate Rudy Kuhn were up for the chase.
The Hell of the South is the one-day race in South Africa to do, no doubt. The terrain, starting in the Karoo, finishing at the coast, right at the water's edge. 3,000 meters of climbing, a stellar field, tough conditions, gravel roads, single track, hard rocky descents. Look, if you win this race, doesn't matter who you are, you've obviously arrived.
As the list of former champions testifies to, the likes of Christoph Sauser, Urs Huber and Karl Platt are among previous winners. The only former winner in this field is 4-time champion Matthijs Bierkes. The raw, rough, uncompromising terrain was once more a differentiator. Gaps began appearing as they headed towards the Attakwaskloof. This challenges riders like no other race in South Africa. Biogen Eurosteel youngster Peter de Toy was feeling strong. He had attacked and was opening up a sizable advantage to the chasers. The 22-year-old was clearly enjoying his time in the lead. Wessel Botha of Type Dev Nanotime was leading the chase, followed by Norkier, Haynes, Tristan de Lange, Biogen, Namibian champion Alex Miller and Marco Hubert. Du Toit was in his third Hell of the South, having finished 5th in 2019 and 24th in 2020. The 7-rider group of pursuers was just about 90 seconds back. The gnarly loose rocks meant they were focused only on the trail ahead of them. Line choice was critical, as was equipment protection. There was a familiar face welcoming them into the kloof. Local legend Katot Meyer gave them the thumbs up as they entered this remote region that for 180 years from 1689 was the only route inland from Mossel Bay. Du Toit was the pathfinder on the rutted old Oxwagon track. He claimed the Biogen King of the Mountains just short of the halfway mark, with Botha, Biogen, de Lange and Haynes around 3 minutes back.
Yeah, when Peter was out in front, I wasn't sure how far he was ahead. At a point I think it was 3 minutes, but it was a bit frustrating because nobody really wanted to work hard, and Pyga, obviously with Peter being out in front, didn't want to contribute, so it was a bit of a tricky situation. But coming down the hill and seeing him with a puncture, I think the race just got some new life, and we knew we were in the lead, and then from there on we could race flat out.
And he was not alone. Teammate Biogen was also in distress.
So Matthijs got a front puncher at least. My front wheel was fine, and he's I think he can catch the front guy, so he's on his way, so I donated my front wheel. My rear wheel, I went down the Attakwas downhill, thought I was playing it safe, and the next moment a nail went through my tire, through the rim tape. I saved it, but what a terrible day. If you think you're playing it safe, it doesn't help, eh?
Pyga Eurosteel had been dealt a double blow.
Today's perfect. Weather conditions could not be any better. There's absolutely no wind at this point. It's not too warm. We've done 33.5 kilometers. Yeah, it's a perfect day on the bikes.
That it was. And a rare one too for the race, which normally takes place in the last week of January, when extreme weather conditions often makes for a brutally tough challenge. The fact that the race took place at all was credit to Dryland Event Management.
We under level 3 restrictions, amended 3, which means basically you cannot have more than 100 people gathered together in an outdoor event, and obviously no spectators. What that means is, in our case, is we have to start with less than 100 people gathered, have it separate starts, no spectators. The finish line we've got to keep under 100 people, even registration, and that's as simple as that. So the experience for the ride on these long rides, and with Attakwas being over such a long distance in time, it doesn't really influence the ride quality and the experience the rider has. All it does is it just keeps them safe, and it's a bit of an adjustment what we have to do, but we're happy to do it because we can have an event and our area needs it dearly. From an economic perspective, tourism is pretty much dead. From an international perspective, so the local tourisms, the domestic travelers, the cyclists, the sports tourism guys are the ones that we want in our area. And authorities have been great. We can only commend them.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But lekker, huh? I'm very tired, yeah. Thank you.
The Momentum Medical Scheme Attakwas Extreme, presented by Biogen, is a must-do race for many South African mountain bikers. It places a high demand on time management, as the ride requires serious commitment to training and preparation. The reward is a unique journey through the spectacular Attakwaskloof with like-minded people. For some, it's a spiritual experience. Many can't miss it. As a mountain biker, it's difficult not to get lured into taking it on. But be warned, you must be well prepared. Back with the leading woman, national marathon champion Yolandi de Villiers. A new approach to the race was paying off handsomely. She was well clear of her closest rivals as she neared the entrance to the kloof. The steep, rough climbs were ridden with a smile. Van Schoor, Lecourt, Hill and McDougall were working hard to close the gap. McDougall, a Paragon motor lease, was looking the strongest of the quartet. She and Hill were the most experienced of the group, with 20-year-old Van Schoor riding her first Attakwas.
No, it's great. I think it's awesome to have such a strong field. There was a nice youngster in the group, so it was good to see some upcoming talent for sure. And yeah, I mean, SA champion Yolandi is obviously a proper rider, and Sarah's on great form as well. So yeah, it's good to see some good quality in the field, South Africans.
Former rower Sarah Hill was 6th in 2019 and 7th in 2020. She joined the Live Factory racing team this year with ambitions to race internationally, a dream that has been deferred for now due to the pandemic. In the form of her life, Yolandi de Villiers just seems to get better and better. She won the marathon title on a really tough course in Paarl earlier this year and was on a storming ride here. She even had a witty comment for Katort at the entrance to the Attakwaskloof. The brutal steepness of the climb to the old Tolhuis did, though, have the leader off her bike momentarily. Despite having to push up the brutally steep climb, she did take the Queen of the Mountains. There were others behind her who did manage to ride the climb out.
I had strict instructions from my coach just to take it easy, and I was following his kind of power numbers and all of that, and yeah, it really paid off up that climb. I still had really good energy, and yeah, I've had a year before where I actually just got off my bike up there because I pushed too hard before, and it's a flipping tough climb, so I just felt really strong all the way through.
De Villiers, though, was in no mood to relinquish her hold on the lead. A look of dogged determination etched into her face. The 5 water points were vitally important stops, even for the top riders. Nutrition is perhaps the most important factor when trying to complete a race as tough as this. Missing a feed station could spell disaster for a rider.
You hit some dark spots, huh? Yeah, so definitely nutrition is important. I had a really flat spot between 3 and 4, water point 3 and 4, and I just need to keep on hydrating and eat enough. And it's difficult with that technical sections to feed, so you got to really put your mind to it, that make sure that you feed. Yeah, and then you cramp and you get pain and you feel better, and then you want to cry and then you want to laugh. So all the emotions. It's a roller coaster, but at the end it's worth it, and nice to be here.
Back with the men's race now, and Matthijs Bierkus was putting all his efforts into regaining contact with the leaders after his puncture. Young Rudy Kuhn only joined the Umbuko Giant team early this year, but is proving to be super strong in the toughest marathon events. Another young rider from Namibia with bags of talent, Tristan de Lange, was digging deep. Former marathon champion Gert Haynes joined Paiga Eurosteel this year. He'd dearly loved to add an Attakwas win to his list of achievements, but he had also had a flat. With so many young riders in the mix, the future of marathon racing is looking bright. Wessel Botha is a super strong rider with a hatful of big race wins to his name. At 22, he's already won Wines to Wales and Sani to Sea. And he was at the head of this group, Alex Miller, the filling in the Umbuko Giant sandwich. The Attakwas is a major goal and a source of motivation for all these riders.
It's a really proper challenge, and it pushes me in training day in and day out, and I just want to perform to the best of my abilities on this race. So yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it, and that's what draws me back.
The leading group of 4 were well clear of the Paiga riders as they hit the notorious rollers after leaving the Attakwaskloof.
Yeah, I had a puncture in the Attakwas. I think I lost about 2 minutes, but my legs felt good. It just wasn't good enough to close the gap completely. Came quite close a few times within like 30 seconds of them, but yeah, it just wasn't enough.
Marco Hubert, Wessel Botha, Tristan de Lange and Alex Miller were the race leaders. The Umbuko Giant team held all the aces with 2 riders in the group. For Bierkus, it was a lonely, painful ride as he tried to catch them. After promising so much, Paiga were looking like coming away empty-handed. They were, though, hours ahead of the backmarkers.
Legs are good. We got some hard climbing now. We get to the Attakwaskloof next, and that's going to be a big push.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
For the majority of the field, the Hell of the South is the toughest event they'll ride all year. For many first-timers, it's about trying to balance the excitement and expectation with the reality on the day of coping with a multitude of physical and mental challenges thrown your way. Seasoned campaigners who come back every year have learned the hard way.
Look, it's very difficult. The first half is very technical and difficult, and a lot of guys go way too fast. Of the first few I did, but then you learn how to pace yourself and take it easy and save some for the end. There's so many guys that get cramp on these last few hills and stuff because they just burnt it, you know, the matches on both ends. So yeah, I think you just got to take it easy and wait to save some for the end.
And eat and eat and eat and drink. And be prepared to suffer.
Things are going well. Had a bit of a spill at the downhill, but we're keeping it wrapped up, so we shall be good. See you on the other side.
With sheer determination and a positive attitude, these are the men and women who give everything to get to the finish before the cut-off. This is the heart and soul of the Attakwas.
Guns N' Roses, tromme en gitare. Ja, nee, dit is harde besigheid hierdie my man. Dis die speletjies, jy kan nie hierso na Mozart en daai luister. Mooi, mooi, druk hom deur man. Wat is ons bo?
Well, I feel like this Land Rover standing behind me, so, and yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So the story that they say, don't burn all your matches in the beginning. For those of you that think it's a rumor, it's not. It definitely is not. So I'm going to take as much time as I need to recover and trying to get myself on my bike again, because I've still got about 60 k's to go. So.
And we always wanted to get here, and yeah, this year we thought, hey, why not? It's been a very different year. COVID has thrown all sorts of spanners into all sorts of events. So I thought we'd come and give it a bash, come and see what's all here, see what's about, the vibe, the people, the food. It's been incredible. We are having an absolute blast. There's 6 of us. We all over the place here having so much fun. Yeah, Trialland, you guys have done an amazing job. Well done.
Yeah, coming back this year for my medal. I did it in pouring rain last year. Didn't make it by 12 minutes, so I'm gonna make it this year.
This is power and panache. Yolanda de Villiers deep in the hurt locker as she closed in on the finish. Even the best suffer terribly.
Okay, I've done 2 Attakwases before, and in both ones I've cramped in the last 15 kilometers. People forget how hard it is going on those long district roads. And this time, I think with the pacing and not being 40 degrees outside, I managed to do it. But sure, after that final water point, you think you're so close, but you're really not.
The final water point came at just the right time for the women's leader. In second, Amy McDougall had William Wakefield to see to her nutritional needs. Sarah Hill in third was ultra chilled as the water point crew refilled her bottle. Rejuvenated and with the finish almost in sight, Yolandi was back in the groove and lead close to 6 minutes in what were near perfect conditions.
Normally Attakwas is rainy or hot and you're sweltering, you are not looking around. This time the environment was absolutely beautiful and I really loved it. Yeah.
Riding for Paragon Motor Lease, Amy McDougall was putting the pieces of the Attakwas jigsaw together with clinical efficiency. But she was resigned to finishing second as Yolandi de Villiers powered on towards Great Brack River, her healthy lead intact. In the men's race, there were three up front: Miller, Buerta and Hubert. Gert Haynes was chasing the trio, and 20-year-old Tristan Norkier from George was still going strong. As was Biogen, who was not going to give up his title without a fight to the bitter end. Vessel Buerta and Marco Hubert were holding on to 20-year-old Alex Miller in the lead group. Miller was Namibia's sole representative in the Olympic mountain bike race in Tokyo and finished 31st. Behind them, Haynes was keeping a steady tempo, hopeful that he'd be able to catch a glimpse of the leaders as they began to slow. But there was no chance of that, as the three duelled it out for the most prized one-day win of them all.
You bleed your heart out, and it takes every drop.
There was a look of resignation about Haynes as he crushed another roller. His teammate Biogen was not holding back though. Norkier looked just about done as the race came down to a tactical battle between the three leaders.
From there on to the finish, we all tried to attack each other multiple times and couldn't really get away. We managed to distance Marco once or twice, but he managed to claw his way back. And then, it was really close between us three.
And at the finish at Pine Creek Resort, it was Buerta who got the jump on his two rivals and sprinted to victory ahead of Miller and Hubert. A thrilling finish after 121 kilometres, and in record time, 4 hours and 46 minutes. Gert Haynes took 4th place, 2 minutes back. His teammate Biogen was 5th, a further minute back. But the day belonged to Type Def Nano Time's Vessel Buerta.
Coming here, managing to get the win and the record is just a dream come true, and I think a good way for me to kick off the second part of the season, and I couldn't be happier.
We were gunning it on the last kilometre on the downhill. It was a bit sketchy, and then when he came in first at the corner, I knew this is going to be so difficult. But I mean, second, really happy out of it.
I'm super stoked with the results and the form, and it was so close racing that I gotta give props to Vessel for sending it on the downhill. Super risky, but it was super fun and happy with the result.
A quantum shift in marathon racing as the young guns step forward. At 24, Hubert is the oldest among the top three. Seasoned pros Haynes and Biogen followed them, with more youth rising in Kuhn, Norkier and De Lange in the top 10. Yolandi de Villiers finished off a stunning ride as she rolled home in 30th place to win the women's race in 5 hours and 59 minutes. A bubbly shower to celebrate. A well-judged and paced ride earned Paragon Motor Lease's Amy McDougall her best result in 3 races. And Sarah Hill of Giant Live Factory Racing also improved on her previous best result as she finished 3rd. Just 5.5 minutes between the top 2. Mauritian champion Kim LeCourt took 4th, and a great debut for young Kelsey van Schoor. But the ride of the day belonged to Yolandi de Villiers.
It means quite a lot, especially I'm with a new sponsor. This is actually my first race for the new sponsor, so I'm very glad to give this win to Cupeto.
It doesn't get easier every year. I think it gets harder. My time goes slower. It's slower.
The thing is, every single year I tend to do worse, but I want to come back. I try to redeem myself, and then I just bugger it up.
Epitomising the spirit of the back of the field, Max Menzies, who completed the race on a single speed.
I was Attakwastrated for the 15th time.
I was born up in the mountain.
But we still got 1,000 meters of climbing, so let's see what happens.
Doing a race that is this tough and finishing it, that was awesome. That was the highlight for me.
I was told rolling hills all the way home. It's anything but rolling hills. It is uphill the whole way.
The Attakwas is fantastic this year. The surface, this is my 11th one.
and I think the surface was some of the best ever. It's just nice to be in the kloof again.
I think they should have this event twice a year. Once in January, once in August.
I only entered on Wednesday, so I needed a bit more training. That's why I'm cramping.
It's very tough, this one. So for me, I love toughness, and this is what, too much nice to race this one.
You've been watching highlights of the Momentum Medical Scheme Attakwas Extreme, presented by Biogen.